Welcome.
Okay, we're back. Welcome to Voices Cary Live. My name is Randy Scott. We are going to go through the board meeting watch party. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you the District 26 rollout that they had of accepting a variance for the proposed location of where the village wanted to place the school district over next to Aldi. And the tune has changed a little bit. It's amazing how when they were at Maplewood, and the District 26 came to them with a proposal for what they wanted to do and we've all seen the picture for what they wanted to do. This is what the District 26 wanted to do at the Maplewood location. They wanted to keep some ball fields, have a playground area, have a 2-story building school, have an administration building, and this was all owned by District 26. And what happened was it was 14 years of will they, won't they approve in this area through either developers, through the village, and it's frankly unacceptable. I mean, you have a school district that operates within your village, and you're giving them all this uncertainty to where you've forced these bus drivers to operate out of a shack. It's literally a trailer, and there was mushrooms growing in the ceiling tiles. So these are the working conditions that we kind of forced our school district in, and all the hardship over the 14 years from letters from lawyers kind of railroading our school district into having to back down. And one article said that they were acting in duress. That's where I'm honing in, and what's kind of been normalized. I'm going to give you some rubber meeting the road before we get back into this to provide context. I think we've normalized something that's not normal, and when I say that, I mean it's not normal for something to get completely approved on, and slung, and it's pretty much a slingshot of, hey, we're just, all we're doing is approving this to work with a developer. And then they go through the motions of we're getting everybody's voices. And what's not normal is that now the conversation is not, do you want 5-story apartment buildings there and 350 apartments? The conversation is, what color do you want the bricks to be? And I want to make it to where the Voices of Cary are part of the discussion, whether it be referendum, actual sit-downs and surveys and feet hitting the pavement of these areas where there's planned development, well before we get to what color should the drapes be. Because I think the Voices of Cary deserve more than just picking out paint colors and being forced into these situations. They deserve to be have skin in the game to where they're shaping their community, and the voices need to be heard well before we get to the point here. That's not normal, and how forward it is, and how how strong the push is to where it's not even hidden. It's not even behind the curtain, to where it's just, this is how it's going to be. And then you can pick the color of the bricks later. We need, that's not normal. And we've normalized that. And what we need to get back to is normalizing the voices being heard before these decisions are even made. Because there's I can't tell you how many people I met that live adjacent or live in the surrounding area or even on the other side of town that are not wanting this density. And here we go. That's part of the normalization of this, is that now I'm talking about density. We can't forget about the fact that there's been 14 years of a coordinated assault with lawyers and confusion on our school district just so that they could get their paws on this property. That's where this conversation needs to go back to. I'm not worried about the color of the drapes or the color of the bricks. I'm worried about every single homeowner that moved in the village of Cary that's had the rug pulled out from underneath them, and they have equity in their home, they're retiring, and Cary's just been pulled out from underneath them. And essentially what they wanted to do here was just improve existing. They already had a bus lot. They already had a school here. And it should have been just simple. Support your school district. They're improving existing. But no, it was 14 years of hardship that we put our school district through. And ultimately, the superintendent was met with a strongly worded 20-page document that he was faced with. Do I put this money into lawyers and lawyering up and further bringing the morale down of the entire town, of fighting the very village in which we're operating in, or put the money towards school, teachers? And that's not just a recent issue. That's been going on for 14 years. So before we get ahead of ourselves and we put the cart before the horse and start picking out colors of bricks, I want to bring the conversation all the way back to, is what we did to our school district ethical? And is what we put our school district through gonna harm our children, our teachers, the organization as a whole? And there might be damages there. That I think our school district deserves to have their voice heard as well, to where if there are damages there from the last 14 years, they should be addressed. And I often say this, it's risky picking your school to be, or a school district to be something you constantly talk about, but it shows the chameleon starting to show its true color when you do this to your local school district. And, I greatly support this, our seniors in this town. When I did firefighting, I always signed up for battery replacement program, and I loved meeting everybody. And I just think about the ranch house owner that is going to have to deal with, or just somebody that, going back to schools, it's, if you're retired and you wanted your kids to move back into Cary and they didn't, because it's like, hey, the left hand's not talking to the right in Cary with the schools, we're going elsewhere. That's an issue for you as well. So, and even if you don't have children yet, like you want to have strong schools, and how we treat our school district as a village is very telling. If we're, I've been on the receiving end of this. If we're willing to do what we did to our school district, there's no telling on what we're willing to do to our businesses or our residents, just to get our paws on something. So I think there might be some damage there. There's some damages to the school district that need to be addressed. And that's why I want to sit down with the superintendent for District 26 and unpack all this. And I know there's money involved. There's doors I'm knocking on that are, there's a lot of stuff behind, but I already have my foot in homeschooling. And I don't want to see this set the standard for our future generations that don't have the luxury of homeschooling or private schools. I want to be able to have my kids have the experience of going through a school district, a public school district. I think that helped me greatly. And there's some damages there. So the tune has changed. So we went from you can't redo your bus lot, you can't build a new school. We want to get our hands on that property, and we're gonna throw you in the court. And they put them up against a wall. So instead of picking out the brick color, I want to sit down with this document with Mr. White with a formal apology from the Village of Cary on Village of Cary letterhead, and walk it back, because you might be watching this and you're on the other side of town. And you're like, I'm not going to be affected by the traffic. It's not really. It goes deeper than that. It's not just about the density. It's about how we treated our school district. So let me continue playing the live feed here. And the tune has changed greatly. Now it's we're very happy, and once it's just not a good atmosphere for operating a school district. It sets a standard, sets a glass ceiling too low for our kids. It sets a glass ceiling too low for the morale of our village. And we need to walk it back.
The site in general, stormwater retention facilities were constructed for the entire Caper development, which includes the Village Hall Municipal Center and the site directly to our east here, where the stormwater retention is provided. As part of the plan, they are providing some additional stormwater retention based off current calculation methods. There is some additional detention will be required for the project, but no off-site improvements would be necessary. So staff is supportive of the requested application waivers as presented. Representative from District 26 is here as well that can provide additional testimony or answer any questions that the board may have as well.
Open it up for discussion.
Quick question. So is this this is the plan that they're hoping to go off of? The only reason why I asked is because originally I thought the discussion was potentially they were going to end up putting the district building in there as well, and I don't see any proposed down the line.
The initial discussion we had with District 26 through the conceptual phase did incorporate planning for administration building through their additional finalization of the plan. That's not currently shown in the cell. So it would just be the bus transportation center and the maintenance building, and then the front portions, the two outlots created would be reserved for commercial development.
That'd be lot 2 and 3?
Correct.
And the goal for the district is probably just to sell those off?
Per the IGA, those would have to be for commercial development, so they're to be sold for future commercial private development.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
I definitely agree with waiving the request based upon what the ask is and what they're building there.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
One moment. Trustee Walworth just had some input. He indicated that he agrees with waiving all requested items, and he appreciates Dr. White and the D26 board for working with the village to bring this much-needed improved facility for their fleet.
So we do not have audio from him?
The audio is currently not working.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else then? Roll call, please, Nick.
Walworth? Yes.
Walworth voted yes.
Stefani?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Weinhammer?
Yes.
Dudek?
Yes.
Collier?
Yes. Thank you. Next, I will entertain a motion to approve a waiver of certain application.
I just noticed this as well. Another thing that we've done to our local business is this is probably another reason why Aldi was not psyched about this. And I'll zoom in here so you can see it. So if you look, at the bottom left of that picture, you can see the water tower, the shadow of the water tower. And then from this intersection, it looks like you're driving into a bus lot. And not Aldi. Here's Aldi on the far right. So we've essentially just taken away another access point of Aldi. So they're going to have to make a right here and go in left here into Aldi. I'm not sure if this goes all the way through into Aldi without restricted access for the bus lot. Even if it does, you're still taking away that viewing angle of a motorist here wanting to go to Aldi, knowing that they can come in here and jog over. They're going to most likely feel inclined to take a right and then have to make a left here. So that's probably another reason why Aldi was not psyched about. If you're not familiar, Aldi had $50,000 to get out of a land agreement because they didn't want a bus lot next to them. They wanted a like-minded people shopping. They wanted, whether it be residential or they wanted another strip mall. So I see a lot of rules for thee, not for me going on. And it's just like the bully on the playground. Like at going back to elementary school. And they notice it. Like Jewel, like the Cary Dairy window sign. They never enforced that. And then coming back up to when they wanted to start enforcing it, when they came after me, they went to Jewel, they went to McDonald's and said, "You've had this forever, no more." So now you've put a bad taste in the village, in the mouth of the McDonald's franchise owner. You put a bad taste in management for Jewel. And not to mention all the other local businesses I've seen hardship given to. And that trickles down. That you think that might just be a sign, or like it shows how behind the curtain of operating. So when you have a McDonald's and you say you have 20 of them in your franchise, you're going to want to invest in operations and beautification into other ones, into where you're welcomed. If you're Jewel, that might happen as well. You know, okay, we have X amount of dollars to do a rolling remodel in 10 stores. This one's been a problem child It's operating just fine. We won't do a remodel or update refrigeration on it. We're going to focus on where we're welcomed. And then also, you saw it with Aldi well before they decided to take the land away that Aldi wanted next to them. Aldi didn't own it, but they had the agreement to where it was going to be something else other than just parked buses. So when Aldi did a remodel, you remember when Aldi did a remodel? If you look at the Algonquin one, it's got a tall window with apples and whatnot in the window. And we probably gave them hardship of like, you can't have this design of the tall window with apples and whatnot in it. And then we hit them again with this land thing. And that gets notated at corporate in Batavia. Like these guys, we're operating, but it's and I saw it with myself when it was vacant next door. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to have indoor seating and whatnot. When I had the welcoming committee of the hardship, and I saw how things were churning, I was like, let's look at opening in another location, another shop. Instead of expanding and spending money in this location, let's look at growing in another location. So it all trickles down. Just the other day, I was getting a burrito on First Street, and I saw a LED sign. They're screaming for business, right? They're just trying to get people in to buy burritos. And I love supporting them. I would always go there when I was a firefighter. I still do. And I walk in and I see an LED message board sign that is against regulation to be in the window. And I see it sitting in the corner off. And I said, "Did you have to take that down?" She's like, "Yeah, we were forced to take that down." And I walked out with my burrito. I was like, these guys are just trying to earn a living, it's not playing nice in the sandbox, and it trickles down. And that's what we did to Aldi. That's what we did. More importantly, it's all on the same plane, but our school district, with the 14 years of hardship that we put them through, that's what this all comes back to, is just, we're going to have to unpack what happened there and what we've done to our residents, to where we've kind of forced them into picking brick colors instead of, do you want this in the first place? Somebody else is at the steering wheel, and it's not the residents.
So we do not have audio from him?
The audio is currently not working.
Nothing is being decided about what exactly is going to be happening on this property. We are just in the beginning stages of trying to negotiate something. What you see and what is being proposed right now could be what happens there, or it can't. I would imagine a lot of it's going to be changing to better for what the community is looking for. But we have to approve an agreement for the board and the village to enter into negotiations with the developer. This is super early in the process. There's going to be many meetings, public hearings. There's going to be at village board meetings. There's going to be community involvement and community engagement. You will have an opportunity to see things as things progress. So with that, I will turn it over to Community Director Brian Simmons again. It's your show.
Thank you, Mayor. For this evening, we'll kind of give a bit of an overview for the history of the property, kind of background for how we got to where we're at as of today. With that, we'll also go into the land use policy guidelines that we have within the village and the comprehensive plan, the downtown plan, as far as what speaks towards the property, highlight a couple of prior development concepts that were reviewed for the site, and then go through the current process that we're in today as far as getting to the development agreement. So the only actionable item, as the mayor mentioned this evening, is to approve the resolution for the pre-development agreement. The project is not under review at this point. It's just to enter into the agreement, a pre-development agreement with the development team for this property to allow them to do their due diligence related to potential development of the site. Brief history prior to the school closing, as much of the community is probably aware, this property was part of the original corporate limits of the village of Cary when the village incorporated back in the 1890s. The gymnasium was first constructed on the site back in 1929 when the school was located over on Main Street. And development occurred around the property from that time period forward. Classrooms were actually added to the property in the 1940s, and the Frankie subdivision began additions to the village of Cary to the south of the property at that same time period. In 1950, the plan that's shown there, the property had been platted potentially for development in addition to the village. That did not go forward as eventually the school district purchased the entire property. But the Frankie subdivision then completed development around that development in the 60s and late 70s. The bus storage facility was constructed on the property in the mid-70s, and then the Maplewood School was again added to in 1989 for additional classrooms at that time period. And then obviously it operated as a school for several years before it eventually closed in 2010. Since 2010, there's been various efforts related to the property, both from the school district's perspective and the village's standpoint, to determine the future use of the site. I won't go through everything on the slide here, but there was a lot of history as far as back and forth with.
He might not go through everything, but I am. Right. So Maplewood property after school closing, I'm going to back up just one slide. Since 1929, that's been a school. And then they built a bus lot on 1975. So they've had quite a bit of history there. And then what Mr. Simmons said he wasn't going to go through, I'm going to go through it. Planning and development efforts since school, closing in June 2010. In 2012, RFQ for market analysis and site plan concepts for property. 2013 District 26 Transportation Center relocation report. 2013 through 15 Village Comprehensive Planning Process. 2015 conditional purchase agreement with Landover Corporation. Joint Maplewood Committee formed. 2016 Village Purchase Proposal. 2017 Conditional Purchase Agreement number 2. 2018 Conditional Purchase Agreement number 3. 2020 through 21 Downtown Cary Strategic Planning Process. 21 Conditional Purchase Agreement number 4. 22 Downtown Developer Discussion Panel. 22 as well Village Purchase Proposal number 2. 23 Village Purchase Proposal number 3. Maplewood Access Road Phase 1 Public Input Meeting number 1. 24 School District 26 Text Amendment Request. Intergovernmental Agreement Request for Proposals distributed. So from 2012, and this goes back a ways. I remember there's a gentleman that owns a building right next to where the Maplewood Access Road is going to go through, and even they've had their eyes set on this for a while. So from 2012 to today, the school district didn't know which way was up. And this was their land. And this was their property.
Provisions where the village had various discussions with the school district at times for from prior boards potential purchasing the property for private development as well. With the last year, most recent updates, obviously the school district presented a proposal for redeveloping the transportation center on the property. That included a code change request that was not eventually supported by the board, which then led us into additional discussions with the district from the village's standpoint, and where intergovernmental agreement was executed between the two parties for the eventual transfer of the property's ownership. Through that process, it was the intent of the village to request development proposals to encourage private commercial development of that property so that it would be returned back to the tax rolls. Throughout the time period since the school is closed, the village has updated or has various planning documents that we've adopted, proposals to
I'm going to cut in there. I'm going to play this one more time.
encourage private commercial development of that property so that it would be returned back to the tax rolls.
Return back to the tax rolls, but if you go back to this slide, since 1929, it's been a gymnasium and school and bus lot, with bus lot coming later. So when they say going back to the tax rolls, it has essentially, for the time in history, it's been the school district's property. So what we did was we played games with our school district to try to, and this conversation of, they knew very well what they wanted to put there. The 350 high density apartments, and the whole decision making process of what color are the bricks going to be, that's a joke. We should have had this discussion, and surveys went out and feet on the ground to find out because it's not like you're just building this across the street from a Sam's Club in a former commercial lot. You're building this in people's backyards.
In the 60s and late 70s. The bus storage facility was constructed on the property in the mid-70s, that it would be returned back to the tax rolls. Throughout the time period since the school is closed, the village has updated or has various planning documents that we've adopted. One of which is the comprehensive plan, which is a general guideline, a policy document that speaks towards future land use decisions within the village of Cary. The most recent iteration of that is the 2015 plan, but there have been 4 iterations of the plan prior to that.
These are all tools that they use, that they lean back on to say, well, it's part of the comprehensive plan. But this is a document that was crafted by them, and they had their village input things. And when these things are being put together, it's really hard for a resident to understand the gravity of the situation, of it actually the project coming to light. So this comprehensive plan, which was made out of a company from the city of Chicago, with satellite locations in California, to the tune of $100,000 for the document. It's 98 pages long. It's $1,000 a page. It's and then the downtown Cary strategic plan. These are all tools that it's like, well, it's part of the plan, and they lean back on it to show that, well, this is the future vision for it, and it's kind of undercutting the residents to have all this planned out in a coordinated effort in one document, to where they can lean back on this document and all the decisions were made, but the gravity of those decisions weren't really understood by the resident when all these documents were crafted. So the excuse of like, well, it's part of the comprehensive plan doesn't really fly, especially when you're messing with a school district and giving them a heartache for 14 years, to where they are having to spend money on lawyers and research and all this other stuff, spending time and resources to come in to fight zoning. All of zoning is appointed by the mayor. So They're just trying to improve their building, improve their own land, and it was no, 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 no. And now when it goes to Aldi, it's like, yeah, you can have this variance. And it's all there's many external forces that I want to get into. I want to when I get in there, I want to find out all these external forces, because I think there's some members on the board that are suppressed or voting that they in a certain way. They need to have time to walk the streets. They need to have time to listen to voters that have voted them in, even if it was unopposed. They need to have time to do their own thinking, instead of just, you have across the street from the municipal center, you have New Haven, you have Maplewood, you have over by 14, then you have all of downtown happening, then you have your water tower project for the 31 apartments. There's a lot of irons in the fire, and it's all planned confusion for the resident in which we're supposed to be representing. And I personally want to have the resident that's been constantly just battling to try to save their town and the feel of their town. I want them to just take a breath. I want them to just not be under attack of one thing here, Maplewood expansion, access road, this, that, the other thing. To be an efficient, to show progress in a municipality, I don't think it means constant growth. I don't think it means destroying the fabric of your community just to show that you have shovels in the ground. It may help other things with deals and whatnot, but you're left with low morale residents, an uneasy feeling. You're sending your kids to a school district that, if they can't agree on a bus lot, of which the property that they've owned for eons, it brings in a lot of other questions of, are all the other ducks in a row? So we have to get back to basics.
It's a general planning document that looks at a 10 to 20 year period for land use decisions within the community, as far as what future growth or potential development opportunities there may be within the village of Cary. Since the adoption of the 2015 plan, the village did go through another planning effort and adopted the Downtown Cary Strategic Plan. That plan is a very focused plan on land use matters, specifically within the downtown area. Essentially, it's a comprehensive plan for the downtown core of the community. So it has additional guidance for development opportunities or development decision-making within the downtown core area. The highlight of the comprehensive plan, the last two iterations did have language specifically towards the incorporation of multifamily housing units within the downtown core area. Both the 1992 plan and the most recent 2015 plan had recommendations for incorporating multifamily housing around the downtown core. Specifically, the 2015 plan had more language towards the Maplewood site on the subject property due to the fact that it was the first plan that was reviewed or approved by the village following the closing of the school. So prior to that date, all plans anticipated the school remaining within the community and operating as a school use. So the 2015 plan had a very high focus on the Maplewood property. It's referenced over 70 times throughout the document. Specifically has a concept plan, which is referenced here, which spoke towards the type of development. Not to say that plan is for lack of a better term, a plop in place plan, as looking at the type of housing that would be appropriate for the site and what type of, how the development should incorporate or buffer from existing single-family neighborhoods. So it looked at transitional development of density increasing as you get further away from the residential area, a mixture of housing options, connectivity of the existing neighborhood, park and open space being incorporated, and also the need for adequate buffer areas between existing development. The plan, as mentioned, does reference Maplewood several times throughout the document. There are various references here, but looking again for more incorporation of housing within the community and at the site. Again, trying to encourage multifamily housing, potentially single-family attached, and park space were the main elements that were desired for the site as part of the comprehensive planning process. Again, the downtown plan is a more recent plan adopted within the last 4 years. Again, speaks towards the development of properties specifically within the about a half-mile radius of the downtown train station. It was funded through a grant that we received from the RTA, but we had several open houses similar to the comprehensive plan for feedback on the plan. Has identified certain opportunity sites within the downtown core area for potential redevelopment or reinvestment, which includes the Maplewood property. This slide shows a couple of concepts that are within the downtown plan as far as what, again, potential configurations of development on the property could look like and how it would connect with the adjacent neighborhood. Similar to the comprehensive plan, there is a lot of text in the downtown plan, so there is guidance as far as what type of development would be encouraged for the site. Basically, are looking to include a mixture of housing types, again, such as multifamily, single-family attached in townhomes or row homes, potentially small lot, single-family residential units as well. We're recommending the plan. The plan looked at the site potentially being a generator for additional foot traffic for businesses in the downtown area, bringing additional residents in that would help support existing and potential future businesses within the downtown core. This slide shows the former or previous 3 proposals that the village had reviewed for the site, dating back to 2015. There were, through the school district's bidding process, they had under contract a few times for potential development. In 2015, residential development of all rental apartments was proposed. 2017 had a mixture of both multifamily and a single-family attached for sale units. And in 2021, a fully rental proposal was presented. In each one of those cases, or in the last 2 cases, there was some discussion before the board at the conceptual level. There was some feedback provided to the developers, specifically related to the access road was a desire on the northern end of the property. Ultimately, no formal zoning petitions were submitted for any of these projects, with the developers terminating their agreements with the district before pursuing the project. More recently, the school district did propose to redevelop the transportation center of the property, and they went through the zoning process over a year ago for a proposed text amendment that would change the terms of the code to allow bus transportation centers as a permitted use or conditional use within all the R2 zoning district. The village board reviewed that and did not ultimately approve the request, as it would have applicability to other properties across the village and not just a specific site. So that project did not move forward. As part of that decision, the village was able to or have additional discussions with the school district regarding the property and the potential finding appropriate locations for the transportation center elsewhere within the community. And as a result of those discussions, we're able to come to an agreement with School District 26 for an intergovernmental agreement to relocate the transportation center to another property within the village, as we already discussed earlier this evening. As part of that agreement, the village had provided assistance through the village's TIF district, the Central Cary TIF, to assist with that relocation effort. So that total TIF assistance was about $5.5 million, which included $2.75 million for the compensation for the acquisition of the property in Maplewood, which was the previous contract that the school district had for the site. But then additional expenses to offset the costs for relocation of the transportation center. So the other costs included the demolition and remediation costs that the school district had already incurred at Maplewood of the tune of $375,000, and then also funds to acquire the site next to the Aldi, $1.1 million, and then also additional $1.2 million for to offset the costs of constructing the new facility at that property. Through the agreement, it was the intent of the village to commercially develop the property at Maplewood, as indicated within the IGA, to increase the tax base of the village. So following the approval of the intergovernmental agreement, the village should move forward with distributing an RFP to the development community for the site. And as mentioned, this is a site plan for the proposed relocation center for the transportation center. So with the execution of the IGA in August, the village went forward with the distribution of the request for proposals that was released in early September, and had a deadline for the development community to respond to those proposals by the end of November. Staff had several discussions with developers that had expressed interest in the project. Ultimately, we did receive 3 formal proposals that were reviewed by the village board in January. The village board, upon review of the proposals, did select a preferred developer. And since that time, staff has been having discussions and coordination with that development team on the proposed pre-development agreement before the board this evening. But also discussing parameters for the project moving forward through the due diligence period here, and also the entitlement process. The public is aware and the board is aware. The selected developer was a team comprised of Cording & Clark, JTE Real Estate Services, Erickson Engineering, and D2 Capital Advisors. The concept plan is shown there, includes a mixture of rental units and owner-occupied townhomes on the periphery with a park and planned stormwater retention facilities. As this is just a concept of this place, the developer team, as they are doing more due diligence on the site, will continue to refine the plans, especially for items such as stormwater retention, to determine the adequate size of those facilities, and there may be changes to the plan throughout that planning process if those facilities need to be enlarged or modified based on the current concept as proposed. So again, to bring us to where we're at this evening, the proposed preliminary development agreement will enter into a partnership or agreement with the development team to review the property, allow them to do their due diligence on the site, specifically performing items such as soil boring investigation, engineering analysis to determine what feasibility the site has for development, do more refinement of their site planning efforts. Would also allow for additional opportunities for public discussion and evaluation throughout the planning process. Can have additional community outreach efforts.
Give me one moment here. I'm going to pull in a map. Just had a text-in question. So this is a zoning map for the Maplewood property. I had a question. What were the code variances the district was denied to build or improve the existing bus depot? And that's a great question, because that's what I was just researching when I was listening to Mr. Simmons speak. Right here in the middle of your screen is the Maplewood property. If you go back to that's pretty much what he had up, but if you jog back to this slide here, in 1975, the bus storage lot was constructed. So, going back to the zoning map, that yellow, you can see it's the same as all the houses. So it's actually zoned residential, along with our fire department. Where our fire department sits, it's also zoned residential. So they granted that the zoning was always residential, even before 1975, when the bus lot was built. There was still some variance made. So it was zoned residential after the bus lot was put in, which then the bus lot would have had could have been grandfathered, which means that it existed before zoning, or the zone existed residential before the bus lot was put in, and there was some variance that was made somewhere on the books to allow that to happen. So either way, it's in the favor of District 26 and their property rights. So to answer their question, what was the example, what was the variance that was denied? And there was a whole talk about fence heights and all this other stuff. I'm for, it's taking care of our buses. So I want that place well lit, respectfully, with surrounding houses in mind. I want that place secured, motion, tall fences, pricker bushes. I want it secured to make it as difficult as possible for somebody to come in and do something overnight. But what they denied was not just fence heights and all that. That was just like cat and mouse. What they denied was allowing a bus lot to become part of R2 zoning, which is why I've always thought you're improving existing. Either way, at some point there was a meeting somewhere that said, yes, you can put a bus lot in there. And it was zoned residential, and they've made a variance, said, yes, you can. Back when we worked with our school district and asked them, like, what do you need? How can we help? Yeah, you can throw a bus lot in there. Maybe talk to the surrounding residents, be like, this is what we got. Still an active school. And the school's still up. So it was zoned residential and the bus lot was allowed to go in, or it wasn't zoned residential yet and the bus lot went in and then it was zoned residential, in which it would have had grandfather thing. The district might have been fighting a battle that they didn't have to fight, or they were led in a direction to where this is where your issue is. And it was smoke and mirrors. There's damages to the school district. So all the talk about improving you can't put a school bus lot in there because all the residents are we don't want the bus traffic. That's not the discussion. Now you have 350 apartments times 2 vehicles added to a residential suburb that's been there since 1893. 1929 is when the gymnasium was put in.
40s, and the Frankie subdivision began.
I'm texting. I'm looking at my phone because
Community.
Some concerns with a potential issue with a member of one of the development teams. Staff is continuing to review that as part of the process and the agreement. That will certainly be things that we'll continue to review through the due diligence time period for the agreement. But as we work towards a final redevelopment agreement, both parties will determine if it's an issue that the village wants to continue to pursue, or the development as well at the end of the due diligence time period, if both would want to pursue the project and enter in a final redevelopment agreement. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions, and the developers here can provide additional feedback as well on their interest in the site.
It would be great if the developer can come forward and kind of give an overview of what you see. You're like to really hope that you will delve into your community engagement, what you're looking for in the community engagement, and your next steps with regards to this.
John Cordigan, Cordigan Clark Architects, with Michael Pulikitis from with part of the development team. We're extremely excited about the prospects of this project. Obviously, it has been attempted to be developed many times over the past decade. It has a very unique situation by being adjacent to the transportation system that feeds into the greater Chicago metropolitan area. And it has an opportunity to create a vibrant aspect inside the community. We also recognize the concerns that the community has, and by being a design-oriented development team, we are going to be enthusiastic to talk with community and work with community to develop a project that best fits Cary and is best for the community. And many people will have lots of input, and we will do our best to try to incorporate that information into a plan. But
here's some input. So I always play devil's advocate. I'm like, okay, what does Mr. White, Dr. White, want with this as a superintendent of 26? What do the residents want? Not necessarily in that order. You have here an article from August 25th of 24. It says, District 26 Superintendent Brandon White said he had hoped to keep the Maplewood property, but ultimately recommended the transfer agreement to the school board. I don't sit here today with a big smile, White said, but he said he wants to avoid costly litigation with the village over its denial of rezoning of the land, which we just talked about that R2 debacle. It was either grandfathered or there was a variance somewhere on the books. And the district could have been led to believe that they had to fight for this zoning change, which ultimately forced their hand and act in duress, as quoted. I have to even place my own personal feelings aside and return back to those three goals: what's best for the kids, does it make financial sense to the district, and ensuring sustainability in our transportation center and the services that we provide in safe working conditions for all our staff, White said. District 26 originally planned to demolish a former Maplewood building and construct a new $6 million transportation center on the property. The transportation center would be allowed to stay at Maplewood until the new one was completed. I'm frustrated, District 26 Board President Dee Darling said. We were very transparent in the process following through with putting in a zoning application during all this stuff, and I feel like right now we're acting under duress and not being able to use our property. She hit the nail on the head.
work as a team with the community, with the village, to create what is best for Cary, Illinois. And we're extremely enthusiastic about being part of the team. We love the opportunity to do it, and we will work hard for you, and we will work hard for the community to make this the best project it can possibly be. and one that reflects your own personal values and not just an economic gain for the development team. The development team will work hard to make this a great project for everybody in the community.
If I could, Michael Poulikitis. So, to Brian's last statement, I did want to mention I was going to leave today. As of Sunday, I was going to leave today into the capable hands of John Cordigan, but because this issue came up, I did make arrangements to be here. So I do apologize that I do have a time certain that I do have to leave. My son made the NCAA tournament, and my only time I could fly out was tonight. So I wanted to be here for this. It's not something I shy away from. Over 25 years ago, there was a communication error with a client. Didn't affect the case whatsoever, but the registration committee had found out, had come to learn about it. When asked about it, I was more than truthful. And as a result, they basically came down with a ruling that said you can't do that, don't do it again. That was it, right? It's not something I'm proud of. It's something that I worked over the last 25 years. I worked every day of my life to be better, and I am better. My reputation, I believe, will precede itself. And what I do, not just in the community where I live, but in the communities where we do business. And that's something we want to bring to Cary. So I do, again, I'm not looking at my phone because I'm texting. I'm looking at my phone because at about 7:30, 7:40, I do need to leave for O'Hare. I apologize. I'm available, as most of my business associates and other municipalities will tell you. I am available 24/7. And so I'm here to answer or say any questions. And to the point of community engagement, we'll go above and beyond, understanding the importance of hearing the community and wanting to make it right for the village of Cary.
Thank you.
Johnny Polikides, he's got a 6'10" wingspan, playing for Yale University, and it's super exciting.
Nice. Congratulations. Good luck. That's awesome. So we have the affirmation from the team that there will be a lot of community engagement. As I said before, absolutely nothing is being decided with regards to the actual development tonight. What we are approving tonight is an agreement with this developer that we can start negotiating on behalf of the village of Cary, including all the residents and the board, so that we can start delving into all these things, picking things apart, figuring out what's going to be best. So tonight, what we are looking for is people to understand that it's part of the process, super early in the process, but we're here. We want to understand what you guys you're looking for. They're going to take back your feedback and start the process right now. Again, nothing has been decided. There is no preconceived ideas. We're going to. This is a plan that was just that they thought that would work in this particular area. So we will give it. If you look at a lot of the other projects, I know I hate to bring this up, but when you look at how we prevailed with the PedCore project, the Garden Place Apartments, that is absolutely nothing like it appeared at the village board. When we first got that project, we picked it apart. We did what was best. We condensed it. We moved things around so it would fit into the neighborhood. So let us begin our process. I want to hear what you guys have to think. We all want to hear what you have to say, and we'll begin the process now. Gentlemen, if you want to have a seat, I'd like to get some community.
For you.
Okay. And we'll start the community engagement. I'll start with the list that I have here, and then we'll continue to add on.
Can we ask some questions first before we get them involved, or do you want to wait till after?
I want to wait till after. I want to see if we can flush some of this stuff out.
Got it.
That's okay? Is that all right with the board?
We're going to flush it out. Comment said, I would really like to know how the village and district relationship will affect school growth in future as needed for residential growth. I would hope the district turns the screws tight on this mayor and board. That was a comment from Facebook. I want to go back to this. This is going to be a long one. But going back to this, if you take a look at that on the right side of the screen, right here, is there a date on this? So at some point, they had a school here. So this is a rendering from the Frankie subdivision from a while ago, when the developer was putting in, and for some reason they stopped at this street here. And just by walking the ball fields, when they're not freshly, there's dirt on there, and there's good weather, they're flooded. You step in the ball field and you sink. I was out there with the kids and Meredith. You sink in the ball fields. There's a reason why they didn't build past that road. I think it's because it's swampland. So they haven't done boring yet, like the core, when they take a machine and they take a core sample and go deep into the ground. I've watched additions go on to hospitals to where they didn't go down deep enough, and they've had to come back and shore up walls because where they were building was really wet. So a developer could come in, do some core samples, and find out we're either going to have to go really deep and it's going to be really expensive and there's no underground parking like the village wants. Or it's not even buildable. Because the original builder stopped right there. And I want to find out when this plot survey was from, to kind of give like a little bit more added context. So this is where gets into spicy meatballs, and you get into the community comment section, which emotions are running high. You moved into a town, and the rug is pulled up from underneath you with utilizing strategic plan. This growth in Maplewood is a catalyst to slingshot more growth in our downtown, which means if you take a look at how everything's kind of setting up, they probably want some taxpayers, with the business on the ground floor, and kind of just you're not going to recognize Cary, folks. You're going to have New Haven go through to 31. You're going to have across the street from the municipal center, you're going to have Maplewood. You have buses sitting at Aldi. And then a whole host of other things that they're going to pull out over the next 4 years. This is not the place you move to. And a lot of it's coming up due to happen after April.
Development occurred around the property from that time period forward. Classrooms were actually added to the property in the 1940s, and the Frank
Main Street has a much better idea of what we would like to see in the neighborhood because it fits the neighborhood, but at the same time, the 5-story apartment buildings are they're a deal breaker. And a lot of the dissent you're hearing is from people who don't trust what's going on. Nothing's happening, nothing's moving forward, nothing's going to happen without your input, but yet at the same time, it is happening and it is moving forward. There's lots of input, but it's just not being listened to. It's falling on deaf ears. So if the private ownership townhouses is something that we would be able to get behind a little bit more. The giant apartment buildings, definitely not. Too much density, not enough parking, all kinds of other issues in the neighborhood with that. So it's not that we're opposed to any development, it's that this is far short. And you're saying nothing's written in stone, nothing's done, and we can always change our minds. It would be easier and cheaper to change our minds earlier rather than waiting until we have so much invested in this that, oh, well, now we can't back out because we have too much invested in it. That's an argument we don't want to hear, and that would be irresponsible. So this is why we're asking that our voices be heard now. And there's a lot of tittering and stuff going on out here because, quite frankly, there's a lot of distrust between the community and the board. So we're saying things, but they're not being heard. And we're not being heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael Mills.
My name is Michael Mills. My address is 538 Arthur Drive, right here in town. I don't think I'm going to say anything that hasn't been said before. Unfortunately, I usually come up here not very well prepared. But I do hear a lot of people not working together for the betterment of the community. I'm not against the development. I am against the fact that it just seems like instead of talking to the people, you're not, I'm not going to say you're not listening, but it's more persuaded to, we got to get something in this property. Single family homes, I'd like that. Rental properties people need. I'd love to see the school just raised and a park put in there for the kids in the neighborhood, which is what used to be there. Cary's landlocked. We'll get more businesses. What this gentleman proposed for the other area, I like the architecture. I think it looks great. What they did to the senior center is a white elephant every time I drive by it. So, again, I'm not saying anything new, but I think without disrespecting anyone here, if I were to turn around and ask the people to raise their hands for who does not want a large development in that area of the Maplewood School. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mills, this is directed to us. We understand that there's a lot of opposition here.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at, sir, is what the other gentleman brought up. You can see that you can't go by majority rules anymore here, or in most cases. It doesn't matter. It's the power that has the authority. But if they're listening to us, they maybe will understand our point of view. And again, to develop that property, fine. A park, I think I'd love a park, but maybe that's not a great idea. But for people to come in there, township or townhomes ownership, that's where my mind keeps going. People who buy generally have more invested in the community. When we built the house here, Cary had 4,004 people. I can never forget that sign, and they pounded people in here. It's grown, and it should. But it has to grow so that it's good for everyone. I don't care if you live right in the immediate area, and I do, or you live somewhere else in Cimarron or Greenfields, whatever the communities are. It's got to work for the whole town. And if they're not going to listen to the majority, well, then I'll go back to what the other gentleman said. It seems like they're not listening to us. It doesn't matter. And it should matter, because I think we all want what's good for the town. That's not hard to understand for any of us.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. We are listening. That's why we're doing this.
I appreciate that. The fact that they're going on and on, I'm not done. And that's rude.
Could you, all right, we're going to keep it to the 3 minutes, please. Please sit down. Thank you.
I'm going to show you a picture here, and this is getting back to you're picking the brick color and the color of the drapes instead of getting in on the ground the ground floor of when the comprehensive plan. I think the gravity of the entire situation of the comprehensive plan of the document that they're leaning on now was not conveyed appropriately to the residents to where you can spend $100,000 on a document and get all this stuff locked in so that you can move forward on these battles later on, all citing, well, you said yes to it. You should have been involved. You should have stayed involved. And that's not on the taxpayer. That's on the village government and the municipality to meet the residents where they're at and bring these issues to them, and not just a 2 inch by 2 inch newspaper ad and a sign that accidentally falls over as public notice. I'm going to show you just a quick picture. Just to show you that it does happen. This is behind a Walmart that was built. It's a whole shopping complex. These things do happen. That whole baseball. There's a reason why that developer stopped at that road. And if you just walk the ball fields, you can tell that the developer wanted nothing to do with that area because it's swamp. And if you look at this picture, see that black line on the concrete? That's where the asphalt used to be. And just to give you a little bit more, look at this. This is what happens when there's dollar signs in your eyes and you put the cart before the horse and you build something that you know that the folks don't want, and you're trying to get everything going through fast. And we saw it in Fox River Grove. And I've said it before, Cary deserves better. And it's not only for, say they do the construction really well and, they take into account all the things that they have to mitigate to build there, and it's a perfect project in the eyes of the developer, and it stands the test of time. Doesn't negate the fact that you put your school district through hardship, you've played games with them, you've created damage there, and long-lasting stuff that will tremble through generations and affect teaching, but then also the residents. They don't have a voice to where it's not just a land building thing to me. It's not just is the land suitable. It's not just about is it zoned properly. It's very clear that we played games, and some of these games were probably played well before we were blessed with the power of microphone and me talking to you as potentially strangers, as myself trying to look after my family and my family's future and trying to stand up for the school district that I went through. These are freedoms that we fought for, and we need to exercise them. It's kind of like a fish in a cave. There's no light for such a long time that they go blind. If we stop exercising our right to voice up respectfully, it's going to go away. And I think at some point or another, Cary was designated, that's a soft target. Inaction, and they saw the opportunity to come and develop, and it started with the quarry. It's a playground. Recess is over. It's going back to the residents of Cary.
Nicholson, please. Drew? Okay, thank you. Dave? Reiki? Thank you. All right, these are the only ones that I've had sign in, so we're going to try to do this as methodically as possible. What I've done in the past in large crowds, I kind of go row by row and ask you to come up if you have something to say. Please come up and say your name and address. You will be given 3 minutes. If you just want to say that you agree with what's being said or you have something that's completely different, we want to hear. Contrary to what's been said, we are here on your behalf. We're listening to this. This is a brand new process. We are going to be rolling this out. There's going to be a lot of community involvement. So give us an opportunity to prove what we're doing. So we'll start up here. Anybody in the first row over here have something that they'd like to say? The second row? Pardon me? I agree with what's been said. Thank you. Next row? The third row? Fourth row? Fifth row?
Hello, 239 North School Street. I just want to say I went to a zoning board last week, and they didn't even let you speak to anybody. They didn't let you speak at all. There's no place on the agenda to speak, and there was a builder there. I wonder who it was. But anyway, he was wanting to change the zoning across the street, and I'd say within 40 seconds, it was changed and done. I would just like to know that means that, this is going to all change in 40 seconds and our neighborhood will be ruined forever. Thank you.
Does anybody else in the fifth row want to say anything? How about the sixth row? Oh, fifth row. Come on up, please.
I don't need to. I just want to say I agree with everything that the first person said.
Okay, could you, we're on the public record here, and if you could just state your name and address for the record, please. We want to make sure that you're... Diane Chesky, 150 Mary Lane. Thank you. We'll go to the sixth row.
Hi, Chris Nagoda, 1370 Mulberry Lane. And I would just like to say that the diagram, the plan looks horrendous to me. Absolutely awful. Almost like dormitories, way too dense. And I'd like to know, where in Cary do we have 5-story buildings, housing units? We don't. Unless somebody can tell me where we do. I've never seen any, and I've been here 20-some years. Anyways, way too dense of a project. And you had stated that you want this to be able to bring more traffic to downtown, more people to the downtown businesses. Well, when I've been downtown, the businesses all seem pretty busy. The only problem is there's not a lot of parking. So if you want to bring all these people in to, go to these downtown businesses, where are they all going to park? And it's just such a shame. I mean, like I said, it looks horrendous. The Maplewood property holds such a special place in the hearts of many Cary citizens, and it deserves a much better proposal and a much better proposed use of space than what's being presented here. Thank you.
Is there anybody in the next row? So it would be the eighth row that's back there. Nobody? We'll come up here in the first row on this side. Are you? Okay. So,
Bill Rietveld at 551 Krenz Avenue. Krenz. A question for the trustees. Who is the closest residing trustee to the Frankie subdivision? Nobody wants to fess up living close? Okay. To the contractors or potential developers, I believe you could get points if you design low density, a big park. A park, they say, that's for the neighborhood, but it looks like it's going to be for the new development. Maybe restrict parking. Think about one-way streets. And if I may, with all due respect, Mr. Mayor, listening, you said earlier, we are listening, but we see a lot of times that the actions don't indicate that. It looks like things are already, decided, set in stone. The Village of Cary and the zoning board, they basically got the school board over a barrel. And they had no place to go but to get rid of the property. And now you have it. And now you have to decide what to do with it in the most effective way. The comprehensive plan that our esteemed Mr. Simmons refers to, it changes. He says it changes. Well, it needs an update considering what you see here with the property in question. For the people behind me and some of you in front of me, I went to high school here, graduated in 1974. I was the SOB at the mink farm, the son of the boss. I've been through this before, and you know what? It's the same old story. My time is almost up. I thank you, and with respect. I said it before. Think about the people there. Okay? Think about where you live now. Imagine a vacant property of that size, and then put in what the developer is proposing. That's
Thank
all
you.
I got to say.
I'm going to go to the next row, and then I'm going to go around the perimeter of the building. So the first row here, anybody have a comment?
John Jensen, 587.
Could you come up to the microphone, please?
John Jensen, 587 Norman Drive. I agree with the last gentleman.
Thank you. He had some very good points. Next row is the developer. The row after that, oh, I'm sorry. You're not the developer?
No, I'm not, because you missed it. I'm short, but...
Well, I was going to, our reporter's here, and I didn't want to call her out. She's not going to say anything.
1387 New Haven Drive, Ginny Palumbo. Ginny, since you had it wrong the last time I was here. So here's the problem with these big, huge buildings. New Haven Drive, we have the apartments that... New Haven Drive, Ginny Palumbo. Ginny, all those lights... NY, since you had everybody's building. It is like a parking lot back there. So all the people that had thought that they were going to get this beautiful tree line now have a parking lot with light shining into their windows. Not a good look. And when you're going to have that big of a apartment building, you're going to have those big lights. Something to think about.
Yep, great point. We will consider that. Thank you.
And a question, where the Cary buses are going, is that Cary District?
Yes.
It is Cary District. Okay, I'll check. Because I'm in Crystal Lake, so I'm right over there.
We'll go to the next row, please. Nobody? Sir?
Ken Brown, 537 Arthur Drive. You want, if I'm doing my math right, 200 rental units, 58 townhome units. Most people today have 2 vehicles. That's 516 extra vehicles to filter through our neighborhood. Anyone in our neighborhood now pretty much avoids trying to head out West Main Street over the railroad tracks when the trains come in. I mean, that backs up all the way to the butcher shop every night, every morning. Traffic will take the path of least resistance. That little road that you guys want to build out to Cary Algonquin, either you're going to put a light there, or now I'm hearing about a roundabout.
No roundabout.
Okay, and you're going to put a light.
Yes.
You put a light, you can't have the light, would have to go south of the fire department, correct?
Yeah, yes.
For the fire department to get access. Now traffic's going to back up. How does anyone get out of Norman Drive? You're basically going to close that street, that access down completely. And again, traffic will take a path of least resistance. That means they're all going to come up Krenz, or they're going to head out the West Main Street and head north. That's 516 more vehicles moving around our neighborhood.
Okay, that's one of the qualifications that we have when we work with this. We have, through our zoning and our codes and our ordinances, you have to provide
it'd be different
parking.
if you had direct access to 14, but we do not. You're trying
Those
to
are
squeeze
very
all
valid
this
points.
inside our little neighborhood.
Very valid points.
Not going to work.
It'll be all flushed out, sir. I guarantee it. The next row after that, row after that, final row over there.
Hi, I'm Kristen Fadden, 26 North Prairie Street. So I live right across on the corner. My husband and I, we moved here 24 years ago, raised our children here. Maplewood was very important to us. My question is, because of course, when people go into the school, because they do, they get into, have access to the school right now. We've been calling the police and they come and they shoo them away or whatever. Before you guys bought the property, I would call the school district if they didn't plow the sidewalks or, the bushes weren't cut, those kind of things. I want to know who's in charge of that now, because the bushes look horrendous, definitely not up to codes. There's bricks right outside the door of, not the gym door, but the next door over. That could be very dangerous. I know that there's a lot of broken windows that have been boarded up, so I'm very concerned about all of that. Again, coming to this project, I know I've been at many of the meetings before when we had the other people, the other companies. One of the things that even the trustees at the time said about density, that was one of the things that kind of eliminated some of the other ones. And this one is pretty much the same density as the other ones. Even when they showed the different ones, it's exactly the same density. So I'm very concerned about that. I live on Prairie. I'm the only house that faces Prairie, North Prairie, not South, but North. My block is a half a block. I'm very concerned about the traffic. Eventually, hopefully I'll have grandchildren and they will be playing outside, and I don't want them mowed down by cars. Just like Krenz, the cars just fly through there now. If we put another 300, 500 cars, whatever it is, it's going to be a lot. I know you're talking about putting that other street in there. I understand that. But I'm very concerned because, again, they're going to come right down our street. I'm also concerned about the house that's diagonal from me, the house that's right across the street from the gym. It's a one-story house, and I would prefer that nothing huge is going to go next to them because, it's a very tiny house, and I don't want them to have to move because it's too big. And then just the other thing that I had brought up way back when, I just want to kind of revisit that. I really would like to have a park that our neighborhood could use because our kids don't have one, especially with the school. We always had the park there, but now it's going to be gone. So something that we could be using also. I understand it needs to be developed. Do I want huge apartment buildings? No, I don't. I understand it has to be developed. I just hope that you guys listen to the residents that live there. We're very small, little tiny. We used to pass out bags for the food drive and all that, and it's like 200 and something houses in there, and now we're going to put over 300 units in there. It's doubling our area. So
Appreciate it. Just for the record, there will be a park, and it will be.
What she said right there about, I understand it has to be developed, and that is part of the putting the cart before the horse. We see it with I've said it before, that they get these things in motion. And when I say they, I don't want us to, it comes back to getting involved with your community. And this is the byproduct of the people in government after 2020 going into their offices and getting comfortable with their new toys, and the residents after 2020 traumatized by what happened, going back into their homes and just, we don't have any of this anymore. And they realize that they only have a certain amount of runway before time runs out, before citizens start sniffing around again, and they're like, things aren't going right, and people start getting involved. That's why I want parents to get involved. I want them to run. I don't want, if I get in, I don't want to be unopposed. I don't want to be opposed for 12 years. I want to create an atmosphere to where we've supported our school district. We've blown wind in the sails of our children and our residents and empowered them to want to get involved with their community, to where they get positioned to be part of the board and mayor. Because right now, there's a full assault on me. There's no, the in-town work, there's I would be, if I was a mayor and I had somebody that did 10 years of firefighting, first of all, I would have met him during those 10 years. And I would be very proud to have somebody that went through the school district in the village of which I've been the mayor of, and then wanted to do public service, and then wanted to throw their hat in the ring. So when I say I want to be opposed, I desperately want to. I don't want to be in politics. I'm in politics. I'm right here, right now, away from my family. And I tried to lay the groundwork to create more time with my family. And this is not an option for me. This is not an option for me. My family lives here. My wife's family lives here. And even if this was an option for me, I've seen enough stuff to know that it's not right for how we treat our residents and our businesses, to where I'm not going to use this to go look for greener grass. I'm going to try to, right now, what I'm trying to do is water the grass of where I am right now. And I don't sit here before you today saying that I know I have all the answers and this is the promised land. It's just, we need to get residents back involved, and you have my pledge of shouting it from the rooftops, of pulling every lever I can to try to get parents more involved, repairing relationships with our school district, reducing bureaucracy, which is not just in town, in government bureaucracy, but it's influence from outside corporations and heavy hitters. Back to basics and priority U. That's the street in front of your house, not just potholes, but it's the school buses, the police, the fire. We have a lot of roads coming up on failure designation. They already are on failure designation, and there's some in critical. It's all because when you walk in as a team member of the village and you're tasked with a full-on assault of 6 projects, that's your whole day. And there's no time for the street in front of your house. Small town values, no home rule. homes, not high rises, and update water quality standards because there's new standards that got rolled out. We have great water quality and we have great public works. We have great police. We have a great fire. But there's some slippage. And we see it from the roads. Because we've been toying with all these other things. And it needs to go back to priority U.
Public park. It will not be just for a potential development. There will be a park, and I believe the board has been pretty steadfast in that it will be at Krenz and School Street. Well, there will be a new park there. And the last row.
Hi, Rick Brennan, 804 Montana Drive. I live on the other side of town, but I get what they're talking about, all the traffic. I do at times drive a bus, and trying to get out, you're going to put 500 extra cars in that neighborhood. You got the preschool over there, and you got Main Street. You try to get a bus out on Main Street coming over that hill, it's impossible. And you got a bus full of 50 kids or 30 kids back there. That's scary. You guys really need to think of what you're going to do with this traffic. 500 cars is a lot of traffic. And lane narrowing isn't going to help Main Street.
Is there another row behind him? Is there somebody else that wants to?
Hi, I'm Kevin Miller, 525 Alita, at the corner of School. Stop signs right in my front yard. It's not towards you. It's more towards these fine gentlemen. All I ask is I don't want my house lit up.
Okay.
Hey, don't go outward, go downward. That's all I'm asking for. Don't light up my house and my yard. I'll be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in that last row?
Hello, Elaine Bailey, 212 Mary Lane. I'd like to thank you, Brian, for bringing up my email here. I do find it a shame that nobody did respond to my email at all. So I will be bringing that up here because I do believe all of your constituents need to know about this too. So an email I wrote to the village yesterday was about asking them that our liaison group and many citizens of the village have asked numerous times why the village is picking Corrigan Clark. Thus far, the village has only referred to Corrigan Clark, JTE, Erickson Engineering, and D2 Organization. While reviewing the upcoming agenda for today's meeting, the developer is now referred to as JM Developers, LLC. After researching JM Developers, LLC, we have additional questions and concerns. Who is JM Developers, LLC, and what is their role in this agreement? Does the village know who they are going into business with? Is the village concerned about past indiscretions of executive management in these companies? After further review of the executive management team with JM Developers, LLC, we have found disturbing evidence of deceit and misrepresentation. The individual in question has been formally censured by the ARDC of the Supreme Court of Illinois for regards acts of misrepresentation towards clients and contractual obligations by providing fictitious court orders and orchestrating concealment of their neglect. These misrepresentations were specifically in a real estate setting, which is further increasing our concern. The citizens of Cary have been misrepresented and unheard by our mayor and trustees. Knowing the village is going into business with deceitful individuals, in addition to concealing the name of said company up until this point, is highly suspicious. We as citizens are quite perturbed as the deceit appears to be carefully planned and indicating a deliberate lack of transparency from the village. In all previous discussions of this topic, the village has represented themselves as acting transparently. However, it is now clear that this was a performance enacted to feign care for citizens' concerns while continually moving in the direction of their initial agenda. Unless the village can provide significant reasoning for going into business with a morally questionable company, the faith of and feasibility and safety of this project seems to be in jeopardy, which begs the question, if this was so poorly researched by all of you and planned, why are we going ahead with it in the first place? Thank you.
Is there anybody else in that last row? We'll start over here. The Green Bay Packer fan over there. Do you have anything to say?
Daniel Gibbons, 558 Krenz. I'm certainly trying to bring down the average age of speakers here tonight. I live across the street from Bill in the red flannel. Certainly agree with a lot of what he had to say, and I certainly believe that a park is what's best for the neighborhood. I think the density of the residents and the cars would certainly hurt, but I think the density would also hurt the school district. I think my wife, who's not able to be here, she had to go home to grad school. School district feels underpaid and overworked, understaffed maybe. In the recent referendum on the presidential election ballot, voted yes to raise the salary of superintendents and other members of the board, but it doesn't give me a lot of faith that the school district will be supported with what I assume is we're targeting young families like myself, to come rent these properties. And I agree now as a homeowner that people who own their homes want to invest more in the community and give back to the community more compared to renters. I haven't spoken in public in forever, so I'm not really well organized. I just feel like the advertisement with the development would be to, the same way that I was attracted to the neighborhood, attract people to a small, quiet area that's still a suburb that has the positives of a suburban area like good restaurants and a train, but the development itself would completely tarnish the neighborhood's ability to remain small and quaint and quiet, which I think is, a big attraction. It was to me. I definitely had more to say, but I'll give up the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody told me a story about living next to Maplewood, and she shared with me, like, on Halloween or just outside playing, the kids, like, you give your kids like a threshold, right, of where they can go. And a lot of people have moved here with an understanding of the area, even before the comprehensive plan was drafted. And there's so many arms to this that create confusion. And I've said it, the gravity of what the comprehensive plan meant was not fully understood by the residents, because there was just so many fronts. And the story she told me was that when these go in, I'm going to have to bring that threshold back of where I tell my kids to go, that they can go to. When you get a bike as a child, your world becomes so much larger. And a lot of folks moved here because they knew that they could let their kids experience that world on their bike. in that area. You won't be able to do that. The sheer number, it's a numbers game. And what he said there is your pride in ownership and your fast forward 10, 20 years, if when the interest rates come down and building materials come down, people are going to start looking for white picket fences of all ages. They're going to be looking for ranch style homes if they're looking to downsize. They're going to be looking to starter homes, and we're going to not have any land to build those. So I'm not saying that we should put single family homes on there. I'm not saying that we should put 350 apartments there. I'm just saying that there's an overall, there's so many contracts that you agree to. Like when you open a business, you say, yeah, I'm going to follow this. And it's not like a signature. It's just you're playing ball in this area. And I think that's a two-way street. When you come here as a resident, there should be a Bill of Rights. It shouldn't be a one-way street to where, you just 800 some pages of code and you're going to have to blindly follow that. If you don't mow your grass and cut your weeds, there's stuff in here that says if you have a certain type of weed on your property, there's stuff in the code that says we can take your house. And they do it. They have the big city lawyers to do it. And I've been on the receiving end of that for a while. We need to humanize the code. We need to humanize how we carry ourselves at the village. To where it's not just, you need to see spreadsheets and people. You can't just look at a spreadsheet, which is something that unfortunately automatically happens when you've been too close too long. So that it's a two-way street. You decide to play ball with the code when you move in here. But there should also be the other way. It's not Van Buren in Chicago, right? It's going to be a two-way street. It's going to be to where there's a code of conduct of how we have to roll these things out to the public. There's going to be homeowners bill of rights and a business's bill of rights. It's not just going to be a mystery for you to have to go find it or lawyer up and spend a whole bunch of money to find it. It's going to be laid out to where we just don't drop this and literally leverage these people's own money and the district's own money against them. You don't mow your grass and you have a certain type of weed, they're using your tax dollars for a lawyer to take your house. Most of these things can be solved with a conversation instead of just a black and white, somebody driving around in what looks to be like an unmarked squad car that doesn't give you a why or say hello or say hi. You get more bees with honey. And I don't want to see the village of Cary turn into just one big homeowners association. We got enough of those. I'm not saying get rid of all the codes. Still have structure there. But some battles are like, okay, you have the backing of our village code if you're that perturbed about something, you're going to have to spend your own money for a lawyer to it's not just on the taxpayers to go and spend money for a lawyer from the city of Chicago, a whole team, to go after projects like this, the Maplewood, to go after and write a strongly worded document to go after a school district and to get them in a whirlwind to where they don't know which way is up, to take property from them just so you can play with it.
I do apologize, Mayor. I do have to leave.
Yep, thank
We're
you.
Available at any time, and then John and Mike will be here. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will continue on down the line over here to
Hi, Lori Anderson, 550 Arthur. I'm very much in agreement with many of my neighbors as far as, yes, this property does need to be developed. We've been complaining about the density since 2017, since the very first proposal that's come through, and almost every proposal after that looks exactly the same. High density, big buildings. We've been told that no single family development property wants to come in there. For what reasons, I don't understand. But we have this fine gentleman who is trying to bring in some, what looks like single family homes with 2 units. We have one. We found a developer that wants to do that. Here he is. I mean, can he have the whole Maplewood property? Maybe. We've got the Redwood that's being built in Crystal Lake. They look like single-family homes. The same developer is going in on 22 in Fox River Grove, single-family looking homes. But yet we've been told by the board over and over again that single-family home developers don't want the property. So I'm very curious as to why we are being told that when they are being developed in local neighborhoods. This is a beautiful development, but it is not for that property. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there anybody else back here on the back corner? Mr. Allen?
Well, as long as I've been antagonistic about this, I'm hearing some better points out there. The lights. I back up to Maplewood School. Those 3-stack high townhomes will block the sun to my garden. I mean, for Christ's sake, excuse me. What's wrong with putting 40 or 45 houses in there? I think you can find a developer. I could never complain if it was zoned the same as the house I'm in. Nobody could have a valid complaint. But we keep, like from 2017, like the young lady said, we're not given any options. It's big, 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 big. Traffic, tons of people. I don't want to live here anymore. I've got my house paid for. This is my retirement plan is sitting there. And now I got to look across the way into somebody's living room. I don't know what's wrong with 40 to 45 single-family homes except a huge desire for tax money or something. You're doing it for a reason. But you're not being transparent about what the reason is. And I want to know what that reason is. Why do you seem to have the zoning board in your pocket? Why is all this going through? Come on, think about the neighborhood.
Anybody next? Anybody back against the wall?
Hello again. John Rohrbach, 120 Cherry Street. A wise person once said, follow the money. But I'm having trouble doing that, as I have many questions, as not everything is as transparent as I wish it would be. So here I go. Because the property was owned by the school district and now the village, what is the equalized assessed value of the Maplewood property at the time the current TIF was established? A follow-up on that is, with the current proposed construction and pricing that is proposed, how much TIF revenue would the project raise for you? And I say for you because the TIF money of any increased value goes into the TIF, which you control. And what are your plans with those funds? The Cary Comprehensive Plan says that the ideal use of this property is multi-use or single family. Why is there not a mix of commercial in this presentation that would generate additional tax revenue and dining options? Mary, you love the tout our dining in town.
I do.
What was in this RFP that led all the bids to come back with multi-family high-story buildings? In the local paper, it was noted that the village was asked by the developer to give away the Maplewood property for free and to pay them up to $40,000 per unit. Can you clear that up? Because it was in the paper, and I haven't seen anything against that. Just for the public education, for everyone in the room and those listening, how does one get on the zoning board other than being asked by the mayor? Can we do a little bit more publication of how we get on the board? My time's not up. Don't interrupt me. There's an upcoming election. Can you tell me how many people involved in the proposed project have made campaign donations to anyone currently on the board? Separately, is there anyone on the development team that is also an elected official on any other Cary taxing body? Why didn't you present this as a referendum? Mr. Mayor, you always tout our small town feel. We do have a small town. This plan proposal does not feel small town. As a previous developer noted, when we're upset, we come out in force. But I'll remind you, we also vote.
You know, I'm going to hold on for just 1 second. I want to clarify something. There is no decision being made about the density or anything. This is why we're doing this. We want to hear what people want. You keep accusing us of making this, we've made a decision. We have not made a decision.
When I was a firefighter, they said if you come up on a fire scene and you have somebody screaming, saying, "I need to get out," my chief told me this. He's like, "Don't forget to put the fire out because your problems go away when you put the fire out." And in this situation, a lot of these fires wouldn't have been started if we started from the comprehensive plan and before, just by listening. And I want to pull the audience more. I want to pull, just like Regis Philbin, back in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I want to pull the audience. And how do you do that? I've done my research. There's some municipalities that instead of having a zoning board, they leverage technology. There's ways in which you can have a zoning board and have a seat at the table, say one seat is a public vote, or the whole thing is a public vote, or a referendum. There's ways. We have the technology. Because who better, I don't, when I started to run for mayor, I was like, wait, the mayor appoints zoning board? And that just was a brain blast to me. it was a huge rabbit hole. I was like, that doesn't, there's certain levers that are currently in there that I don't want, that shouldn't exist. If that gives you any indication of where my heart is and where my mindset is. And there's certain things that need to be put in place to where those levers don't show their heads again. Kind of like of a code of conduct of how we interact with other government agencies. schooling, fire department, even intergovernmental for on the municipal side, police department. Everything's kind of been pinched because of time and resources. You have a team coming in to the municipality tasked with other things other than the street outside in front of your house.
Well, we're not going to start shouting from the back, please. No, we've heard from your 3 minutes. Well, all right, we'll continue on. The next gentleman, would you like to come up?
Sean Hart, 65 Mohawk, Greenfields, parent of Maplewood students, and also my kids, when they were younger, used those ball fields. I would like to see those ball fields preserved. From where I live, I can walk to at least 6 different parks without crossing heavily traveled streets. From what I can see, that neighborhood is a park desert. And, you know, from the baseball parade to the parents that had baseball kids work those fields to clean them up, prepare them, to the fact that there's 6 ball fields altogether, you know, and from a financial standpoint, it seems like I did read some of the stuff that there's the developer wants that land as a donation, if I understand correctly. They want perhaps $40,000 per unit. I don't know if that's, you know, all rentals or if that's the rentals in the townhomes. And then lastly, the road that seems to be built for the thing also has a cost. So I'm not a expert on things like TIFs or what have you, but that's a lot of money. And I understand that TIF goes for 23 years. Who is the ultimate backstop if the project didn't work or things of that nature? What happens with that debt?
With the debt for we've incurred already?
Just the debt from the TIF, if it doesn't perform as it's supposed to.
The TIF is performing as it should be. If we don't do any other development, if nothing ever happens again, we can continue to pay our obligations right now.
Okay.
And just to clarify, too, if you don't mind me saying this, people are talking, and I've heard this, the Village of Cary is not paying the developer $40,000 per townhouse. It's the reverse. It's at the back end of the development agreement, which is still up for negotiation. All of these things, these figures and all that stuff is still up for negotiation. What the board will probably do tonight is to take into account what everybody has said and decide how we want to negotiate this. But nothing is set in stone with regards to this. And the Village of Cary is not paying $40,000 per townhouse. That's just not, not happening.
Great. I echo the previous person, and I think that this should be a referendum question for the entire town.
Okay, thank you very much.
Paul and Gallinera, 575 Krenz Avenue. So, good evening, Mayor, trustees, village staff. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for the time that you gave the Frankie liaison team last week. We had a couple of meetings, we had some good discussion, and I also want to thank you for the communication efforts regarding tonight's meeting. The the big electronic sign, text caster, all that. We recognize all of that, and we appreciate the efforts. As we've been discussing this development opportunity, the continual message has been, and you've said it a number of times, Mayor, tonight, nothing has been planned yet, or no decisions have been made yet, or no designs have been improved yet. And we do understand all of that. Everybody behind me understands that. But I want to remind all of you that what we are reacting to is that what's in the initial development proposal that's been submitted. Now, I will admit the design within the proposal looks beautiful. I like it. There is a good mix of townhomes and apartments. There's a park and even a pool. But as beautiful as it is, there's one major problem with this type of complex, and that's the location. This complex does not fit within the current neighborhood, as everybody's been stating all the way up until I came up to speak. As it states on page 5 of the Downtown Strategic Plan, it states development of multifamily residential development compatible with the existing neighborhood is recommended. The current development, or any development like this one, is certainly not compatible. And on top of the compatibility issue, there's a high probability that this complex is going to cause many problems for the current residents within the Frankie subdivision, as well as the rest of Cary. There's been plenty of examples, traffic. Nobody has brought up the flooding yet, but there could be flooding, illumination, and a whole lot more. Now, when the Frankie liaison team met with many of you this past Wednesday, Mayor Koenig, you stated that this current proposal is just a starting point, and there will be opportunities to collect resident feedback and make adjustments accordingly, and you've said that tonight. My main concern regarding this is there are not enough adjustments that could be made to this initial development proposal that makes sense for this location. All the other locations in Cary that have had housing built in the last 5 years were all very cohesive and compatible to the surrounding neighborhood and area. For example, the homes in Cimarron, built by Ridgefield, they look like they've been there from the beginning. They're beautiful. The homes being built in Fox Trails along Cary-Algonquin Road match the existing neighborhood. This gentleman back here, he made it a point to submit a proposal to make sure that it blends as well as it can blend.
Could I ask you to wrap up your comments, please?
Why can't you do that for the people who live in the Frankie subdivision? Why can't this type of development, why can't you do that for the people that live where I live? We don't want this type of development. And I'm not alone when I say this. Based on the current resident feedback, which I'll cover in more detail in a moment, only about 5% or less want this type of development at the Maplewood property location. The Frankie Liaison team launched a Maplewood property survey last week and gave choices of what type of development residents would like to see on the Maplewood property, which are all consistent with the comprehensive plan and the downtown strategic plan. Here are some results so far from the 215 responses as of 12:30 p.m. When asked the question, if it were up to you, what type of development would you like to see happen at Maplewood? And you may choose more than one. 55.35% said they would like to see 40 to 45 single-family homes with a park.
Mr. England, I'm going to ask you to wrap up your question. We will be more than happy to meet with you, as we have done in the past, to wrap up what your questions are. But in order to allow other people to have an opportunity to speak before us, we've tried to keep you to 3 hours.
Mayor, I'm almost done. 30.7 said that they would like to see a town square with no stores and just green space. 30.23% said they would like to see a mix of townhomes and single-family homes with a park. 25.12% said they would like to see a town square with a park with stores on the ground floor and residential above the stores, which is also known as mixed use. 23.72% said other, and they gave a list of what they would like to see. And then 2.79 said they would like to see 3-story townhomes and 5-story apartment buildings with a park. So what this data is saying is, once again, very few residents want 3-story townhomes and 5-story apartment buildings. And please know that we used a well-known and respected survey tool, which has been configured to only allow one submission per device. So if you would, and I already sent that to you via email today, as far as the raw data and graphs.
All right, thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Inglenero. We're going to move to the next person, please.
Rich Ring, 535 Surrey Ridge.
That data that he collected in that subdivision, that should have been done before the comprehensive plan. And this isn't just a Cary issue. You see this all across, a whole bunch of different municipalities. You see the bolstering of, yeah, we're just going to take it. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Those are levers that you need to break glass in case of emergency. And right now, the paint on the lever of those is getting worn down. So we need to put some of those levers of local government behind glass, and definitely not use them against our school district or residents unless it's a coordinated effort with them from day one. If you do use those levers, you should use them with helping the residents or helping the school district. If you had all your ducks in a row from day one, when the school district wanted to do this, and ultimately it was a zoning board controlled by the position of which I'm running for. And if the left hand's talking to the right, when the school district comes in and says, hey, we need to upgrade for the sake of our school, you send some feet on the ground, talk to the residents, hey, they're working out of a shack right now. We just need to, we'll put some shutters on the lighting. We'll do this. You guys all on board with just upgrading the bus lot, building a new school, improving the park, and keeping some ball fields. The residents would have been on board. And instead of being met with, well, you got to go through zoning because of this thing but now that we know it's potentially should have been grandfathered in, or there something on the books at one point that was already a variance to be able to build that in R2 residential. If you had somebody with working together with the school district and its residents and its students, instead of being influenced by outside forces, and you'll see later in the I watched this last night, you'll see later that there's a little bit of tension even behind the table. That heat needs to get lifted. And it certainly doesn't need somebody coming in there saying, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. There needs to be a why behind it. There needs to be, well, the residents wanted this. This is essentially a referendum for keeping Cary.
From Cary, Illinois. I didn't catch the lady's name who read the email, She indicated there's some nefarious dealings with this organization. And I'd like to see that ferreted out. I would ask you to table your vote tonight, wait till the next meeting so we can discern if there's credibility to these accusations and if we should enter into a partnership with this. 30-day till the next meeting is not a deal breaker. So I ask that you table this vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
We have looked into the email. You heard this evening
This
from
is
the
the village
gentleman
attorney.
who stepped up to the podium from the development team what single incident in his law career several decades ago occurred, and that is the extent of it. What was alleged tonight is a gross exaggeration.
Next, please.
Jeremiah Barrett, 557 Krenz Avenue. I think it was very telling when you opened the comments for Maplewood discussion that you said we got to flush this out, because our perception is you take our opinion and flush it right down the crapper. So another thing I'd like to address is the liaison committee. I got that survey over the weekend. Why couldn't you have done that survey? Very easy to do. Even some old idiot like me can take their phone, scan the Q code, and fill out the survey. Why didn't you do that before, when you were zoning for the school board and negotiating with the school board to find out what the people wanted? It's our perception that you run this council as a rubber stamp, and everything's just approved and decided in advance, in total disregard of anything we want. One of the people there, I think it was you, Mr. Stefani, said that you were going to walk the subdivision. I'm there 24/7. I'm retired. I didn't see anybody walking around trying to solicit comments about it. But I welcome you. Come on over. I'll share a beer with you.
Thank you. Going down the road next, the back part, anybody in the back row, please come forward.
Samantha Rossdeutscher, 338 Krenz. I live on the little house on the corner. So my husband and I know a lot of people in this room have lived in Cary for a lot of years. My husband and I moved here in 2023 at the end of it. So we've been here for a year and a half. And we bought what we thought would be our forever home. We love Cary. We weren't in a rush to move. We scouted a lot of places. We looked at a lot of places. We love our little house on the corner. We are, we just had a growing family. We have newborn twins, and our little house is not going to be big enough for our growing family. And what happens with Maplewood will make us decide that if this will be our forever home and we can make it our forever home with our property, or we go somewhere else and we buy a new house. We love our house on the corner, and we will be impacted probably the most by the Maplewood redevelopment because our front faces the school and our back is the parking lot. So this development and this decision really will affect how we decide to proceed with our future, because we do not want 5-story high rises across the street from our house. We have young kids. We don't want 500 cars of traffic. That's why we chose Cary, and that's why we chose our little corner lot on a dead-end street. There's a lot that could be done with this. The only good thing that would come out of this would be a park, because we don't have a park. And I would much rather see houses. A lot of people have said that, owning versus rentals. And I totally agree that people that own, like my husband and I, have more of a say on what's going to happen in the community. Rentals, you can't count on, and people moving in and moving out, there's going to be a lot of traffic, and our little street is going to be very, very busy. And I will like to contest that since I have moved here, I refuse to go down Main Street across the train tracks because that intersection is terrible. So we add more cars to that, and it's going to be backed up very far. And ever since I moved here, I will not go down Main Street that way. And with the success of Uncle Jerry's and the parking situation, I just want to share that little parking lot and how famous they got so quick has shown that Cary can't handle the extra cars. There are so many accidents that almost happen in that little square because people are going in and out and trying to go pick up their pizza. And that just shows that like we just can't handle those extra cars.
Thank you for your comments. Continuing on this side. You've already spoken once. We're giving everybody one opportunity. Well, the other gentleman that was here before was speaking about something different than this. He was referring to a prior development.
Did I get it wrong, folks? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll continue on, please. Thank you.
Janae DiOrio, 207 South Wolf Street. Quick note, so the Cary Park District has a master plan too, and they state over and over that this side of the tracks is deficient in green space and land. So people did go to the Cary Park District. I don't know the extent of those conversations, but I believe the baseball club did too, but obviously didn't go anywhere for some reason. And I think it needs to be noted that there's a conflict of interest. For whatever reason, that didn't go anywhere. We now have a Park District Commissioner on the development team who's financially gaining from this. So I think that needs to be noted. I'm not saying I think it needs to be out there. It might not be the best interest of the Cary Park District, but it might be someone who's personally gaining. And again, if you're giving away land, does somebody say you gave it away?
Nothing has been decided yet.
But then why wasn't it given to the Park District? Unless there's someone gaining financially from that. Yeah. And if nothing else, you just said, if nothing else happens with the TIF, you said it'll be fine or something? If nothing else ever happened, right?
We can pay our debts that we've incurred.
That's great. Then why wouldn't it be given to the Park District? Because everyone here, if you are listening, I mean, their stomachs are sick. Think of what you're doing to these people. Like, put yourself in their shoes. I mean, it's honestly, you're like the Lorax. You're the Onceler. You're biggering and biggering and biggering until it's too late. And then you can't do anything. I know how this goes. You all have made up your mind before you come in here. But please be like the Park District did. There was one person who changed her mind at the last minute to save something. And one of you needs to be that person to listen to these people. It is upsetting to them. And they're smirking. That's not okay. Please do the right thing. Do unto others. Thank you.
The young lady in the yellow shirt, do you have any comments? No. Next.
David Arsabar, 506 West Main Street. My family moved here about 7 years ago, and every time that they were looking for a house, they started in Palatine, Barrington, further out, because they were trying to avoid exactly what y'all are rubber stamping. Sorry, again, first time, public speaking nerves. But this is ridiculous. I mean, someone made the point. It's a lovely development, not meant for this neighborhood. This is a single family home neighborhood meant for people growing their families. If we wanted that, we would have stayed in Barrington, or we would have moved to Barrington. We would have moved to Palatine. We would have moved to all those semi-suburban places that we pass by on the Metro. That's not what Cary is. This is a place meant for people, not for rentals and all these things that people are rightfully upset about. I'll be honest. Someone said it earlier. You made the comment, flush this out. That's what it feels like. All these people here are telling you, okay, if you want to enter in negotiations, don't enter in negotiations with folks who we're telling you, we don't want this. Go to the guy in the red shirt. If he has that best, I mean, come on. I'm not saying I agree with it. Personally speaking, I would love a park. A nice place where people can bring their families, bring their dogs, walk around. I don't know if any of you live in that area. I don't know. This is my first time here. But if y'all lived in that area, you would know there's no place for people to run, take their kids. We walk around in circles because there's no place else to go. Ridiculous. And I get it. I mean, I'll be honest. Based on my observations here, first time, it really doesn't seem like y'all care. Y'all care about money. Y'all care about bringing in revenue. I haven't heard much about what the community needs. Again, I mean, even Mr. Stefani, I get it. Like, this might be an amusing thing for you, but these are people's lives. I mean, come on. All right. See, right there. Right there. You prove it, Anthony, prove it. But like, listen to all the people here. Listen to them. Even if it's not about money, it's about you ruining a neighborhood that is, it can be improved upon. I'm not saying that it can't be improved upon, but what y'all are doing is unacceptable. Because it destroys the fabric of that neighborhood. Sure, if you want to put in single-family homes, I'm not necessarily opposed to it.
Thank you for your comments.
Is what we need.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else? Yes, please come up.
My name is Sue Klebe. I'm at 61 Fairfield Lane in Cary. I've been a 50-year resident of Cary, and we moved here because it was a lovely community close to raise our family in. I agree with people. I think that the density on that is far too much. I don't know if you guys have driven to Crystal Lake and driven around. Seen all the apartment complexes that are going, big apartment complexes that are going up in Crystal Lake. There's a lot of people that are going to be looking for apartments. There's a lot being built. Are you in competition with them? Yes, because you're close to the train station. But please keep in mind the people that live close to there, close to what you're proposing. I'd kind of like to throw out, keeping in mind that everybody is aging, I myself would love to stay in Cary in a smaller home. Think about putting in duplexes, things that would be easy for seniors to move in, along with single family, along with lower density apartments. We're all going to want to age. If we love Cary as much as I do, we want to stay here. The other thing is that seniors, we're not bringing in more kids. You're not building more schools. And believe me, seniors love to shop in Cary. We want to keep our dollars in Cary and not another community. So please, please consider.
Great comments. Appreciate it. Thank you. Is there anybody else back there in the hallway that'd like to address the board?
Hi, Michael DiOrio, 207 South Wolf. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come to this forum. You've all been super respectful of the speakers, even when you don't agree with it. I'm only going to say this. I didn't plan on speaking tonight, but based upon the interaction that happened here, I've been watching all your faces. You've been respectful. Mr. Stefani has been rolling his eyes, smirking and laughing the entire time. Show some respect for the people that came here about something they feel passionate about. We're all here for a reason. You may not agree with it, and I know maybe most of you do or do not, but you've shown us respect, and thank you for that. Pay attention. We all are seeing it. I've made comments to other people, and they're nodding their head. Please show some respect to the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else back in the hallway that'd like to comment? No, none said. All right, we'll go ahead and close open forum at 8:06. I'll turn it over to boards for comment.
Can I start?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Section 6B, question, it says, we talked about the development agreement, terminated for any reason, developer shall be reimbursed within 60 days for costs associated with geotech soil borings. Is there a way that we can do that cost instead so it's ours for record if we were to terminate? Or is there some clause in there that would allow us to have whatever was shown from that?
I can address it. So the condition in the agreement is basically that if the developer performs those soil borings, that we would be potentially responsible for reimbursing for those expenses. But if we reimburse for those expenses, that would be a report that we would get as part of the process. So we would own those records and have that information on our behalf to utilize in the future if need be.
Awesome.
One other thing in that regard, those are also TIF eligible expenses for the village at a later date.
Which brings me to my next question. Section 10, TIF eligible expenses. Are those, I'm assuming those are being kept up by the developer because it states in the termination agreement that we have to reimburse after 60 days if we were to terminate. So are they producing receipts for us to go through and approve, or what does that process actually look like from our end?
Yes, so they would keep track of those expenses as far as what those costs would be, and then if they're seeking reimbursement for those expenses, there would be receipts and paid invoices that would substantiate that request.
Is there a way we can get that while it is being produced at that particular point in time, or do we have to wait until the 60 days?
It certainly, as the reports are produced, that it would be subject to the agreement, so we certainly could receive that information as it's collected.
Okay. I'm going to back off for right now.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Sure. Any other comments? Trustee Dudek, anything?
You're asking just for comments on the development agreement, not comments in general, correct? I'm sorry. I asked the question, are you asking for comments in general or just specific to the development?
Well, in general, but specific to this, if you want to address some of the comments that have been made by the public, that's acceptable as well.
I don't have any questions on the development agreement. And I certainly am not going to comment to take exception with anybody's feelings about what happens in their neighborhood. Everybody deserves to be heard, and everybody has a position. I respect that. I always have, and I think there are those in this room that have attended multiple meetings that know that probably a reason why there's a lot of people here was from my suggestion to have better interaction between the community and the village. I can only encourage all of you to continue to stay involved, whether it's through your liaison committee, whether it's coming to village board meetings. As the mayor has said, and he's absolutely correct, this is just the beginning. If for some reason, and I'm not suggesting this can be the case, but if for some reason during the course of our negotiations, this development went to 50 townhouses and 85 apartments, the developer may walk. Other developers have walked in the past for just those kinds of reasons. And I respect your comment. Let me just finish, please. So you have to let the process happen. That could be part of the process. I'm not going to suggest that myself or any of my fellow board members feel that way, but that could be part of the process. So just please try to stay engaged, continue to make your comments, and we will see how it goes. This, as the mayor has said, we are not voting on 200 plus apartments and 58 townhomes. That's not what we're voting on. We're voting on starting the process with this set of developers, and that's all we're doing. That's my only comment.
Thank you. Trustee Collier?
My comment was everyone is saying nobody is listening. We are listening. I've been in this community for 53 years, my entire life. I moved here 25 years ago. I live in Fox Trails. We had a quarry behind us. There was arguments about that. We listened. We flushed it out. We are listening. So don't say we are not listening. Unnecessary.
Trustee McAlpine?
Sure. First of all, I want to thank everyone for taking their time to come out and talk with us. You are important to each and every one of us. I don't know what's going to happen. This is the start of the process. We have had other developers come in, and as Trustee Dudek mentioned, sometimes throughout the process as you're going through it, we find that it can be viable or it won't be viable. But it's a give and take, a listening to what you have to say, coming back. The developers here, they're hearing this as well. You know, we will look for them to start back to talk with us so we can start the negotiations. To me, and I'm just trying to simplify a little bit of what's going on, just from a real estate standpoint, I look at it as if someone's coming to us saying, hey, I want to purchase a piece of property. Well, in a residential situation, you usually have your due diligence is like 5 days. You get to have an attorney review it. You get to have a home inspection, decide, hey, can we make this work? Can we go forward? When it comes to something like of this large of a scope with a commercial development, it's going to be more like 150 days. And at that time, we appreciate if you bring something up to us that says, hey, find this out about this developer. Is this someone that you can work with? Is there something out there that's nefarious that we need to know about? Those types are the things that we're going to be looking at to make sure that this is someone that we do from a reputation standpoint want to work with. I think that our attorney did indicate exactly what had happened then 25 years ago, but we appreciate you bringing that to our attention. I'm just looking at this as a starting point, and we want your input. We want you to stay engaged. We want to know what we can do. I don't know whether it will work or it won't work, but we have to let it go through the process. We don't say to a developer, hey, forget you. We don't want to hear what you have to say. We want to say, is there something that can work that makes us work within this, the starting point? But we do care, and I do appreciate everyone's time is valuable. You've taken up an evening to come and talk with us, and I thank you for that.
Trustee Wall, you want to read Trustee Wall? Oh, Jennifer?
Okay, thank you. Trustee Walrus comments from via Teams here. Listening is not necessarily always agreeing, and I hear all the comments and understand the emotion. I will continue to advocate for a final product that fits our village. I support the choice of developers and look forward to working with them to develop a product that Cary can be proud of. I encourage all residents to participate in the process at open houses, zoning meetings, and board meetings.
Thanks, Rick. Trustee Weinhammer?
There is a gentleman back there, and I know you get the final say, but I think he wanted to make a comment. Is that?
Why don't you, I'm sorry, I went down this row and no one came up. Come on up and state your name and address for the record. You just put your name and address.
My name is Samuel Milan, 632 Crans Avenue. I've been here in Cary for since 01. I met my wife, and she's from home. She grew up here, and I love the place since I've been here. So, but I just want to comment that this project has been going for 10, 15 years, and you guys should know what this neighborhood wants. And bringing this up, it seems concerned, like everyone say, that you guys not listening and just keep it bringing to trying to be on a bigger side. So that's why I'm here. I usually don't come to the meetings. I just follow, what the people say of family, friends, what they're saying. But I am, like I say, everyone, you guys been with this for about 10, 15 years with the same. So I think you guys know what have, what we need to do, and I agreed on some of the stuff, like on a commercial side by the parking lot, something that you guys want to grow on the township, on downtown. That's something that's, maybe something work for that. But on the other end, I think you guys should work on something more family oriented. I know that we have so many young people coming in, and they're concerned where they're going to bring the kids to play, things like that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Trustee Weinhammer?
So I initially thought that I would be okay with, and I know we haven't voted yet this evening, saying okay to this. And as I'm looking and listening to each and every single one of you this evening, it reminded me of when I used to sit where you're sitting. And I was so angry, like you guys are angry. And I said to myself, the only way I can have a voice is if I ran. So I ran 8 years ago to have a seat. And the mayor knows, I talked to you in the fall and said, hey, I might run for mayor. And I reached out to Janae Diorio, Kim Cavelli, Jen Crick, and thought, hey, maybe we might give it a go. It didn't come to fruition, but I am telling you, I completely understand your anger and where you guys are coming from. There was several questions at the Frankie liaison subdivision, questions that you guys had. And one of them, I'm thinking about right now. You guys asked a question about how much it would cost to have a single family homes put there. And I don't even know if a developer, you guys spend a tremendous amount of time doing this, but I don't even know if anybody can even do this. Because I think when I spoke with Administrator Morimoto, it was going to be close to $800,000 per home. Is that correct? About?
Yeah, obviously it would require more of an in-depth pro forma, but I would say, maybe not the exact number, but it would probably be a considerable amount to account for and be able to absorb the construction costs associated with taking a greenfield site, off-site infrastructure, utilities, and so forth. It's not a pre-existing platted subdivision with utilities and roads already plug and play. But so, yeah, I wouldn't say the exact number, but it would likely be a considerable number.
Okay. So I understand where you're coming from. I have two meetings left. I am going to this evening just vote. I haven't heard anybody come up tonight and say that they want this at all. So I'm going to vote on behalf of the residents tonight and what I'm hearing from them. And I just really encourage you, if you're sitting there angry tonight, the next time we have an election in another 2 years, please run. Please don't, take it. Sorry, I'm just like really hot right now. Please get involved. If you're angry right now, and even if you're not in 2 years, this is the way that you guys can really have a voice here. You guys can have a seat here, okay? So please stay involved and vote. And that's it. Thanks.
Mayor, I got one last question.
That was wonderfully said. That was very brave and courageous. That was a breath of fresh air. Absolutely. Get involved. Just get involved. It should not be an us versus them thing. And it may seem like it right now, but I still think it isn't. It's just misplaced priorities and the machine operating without a governor. And when I say machine, we saw it like City of Chicago. It It's in full chooch mode right now. And it's taken Cary. So what she said, just get involved. If I get in, I want to be opposed in 4 years by somebody that is passionate about the well-being of families. Not saying that they're not, they're just being influenced by different external forces. It's not that these people don't care about Cary. It's respectfully disagreeing, and it's friction. And you need friction to move forward. So that was very nice what she said, and I completely agree. Let's get some more people involved, like parents, and I always go back to parents, because it's when you look into your kids' eyes, even prior parents, if you got some free time because they left the house, clean this stuff up so they want to move back home.
Last question I have, section 2, I and double I. The sharing of property tax revenue with the village, the sharing of incremental sales tax revenue is up for discussion. Can you expand on that for me? It says parties recognize that in order to develop substantial interest in the development of the property, the following incentives or combinations thereof may be necessary and desirable.
Yeah, so as we go through the negotiation for the development, there's certainly, with the project being within the TIF, there are TIF eligible improvements or items that can be discussed as part of a redevelopment agreement for the property. So the sharing of property tax revenue that would be generated and within the TIF is an item that could be incorporated into a redevelopment agreement and part of an incentive package that could be provided to assist the development forward. And that would include the incremental sales tax revenue, if any, would generate from the site as well.
So you're saying we could potentially be paying the builder?
Through new increment that would be generated by the site from what they would, what their project would generate, would be specifically new revenue that would be coming to the TIF. That could be part of a negotiation, but that's for a future decision making by the board with a final incentive package.
Do you want to expand on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
So this is a preliminary development agreement, meaning that we are setting forth the general parameters in some contexts that are open for discussion. No commitment to pay sales taxes, no commitment of any additional revenue, no commitment of TIF incentives yet. But it does lay out the general parameters that we are going to continue to discuss with the developer. Those are typical, standard issues that would be part of a discussion. And unless we reach agreement or reach draft agreement and bring that back to you for your consideration, there's no commitment at this point to pay out on any of those revenues or include those in a final development agreement.
Got it. And what are we voting on tonight?
To move forward with a pre-development agreement to work on all the details of a potential development agreement.
Which is what's listed here, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just shocked that I'm the only one that actually has questions around it. That's all.
Well, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Clearly not.
Anybody else? Did you? Yeah.
That's an interesting interaction there. A lot to unpack. I think he might have been misconstrued a little bit with what he was frustrated about. There's a lot to unpack there that I'm not going to begin to, but it just comes back to priority you, and a lot of these problems go away when you just focus on the residents. Seems like the lawyer is more up to speed or at the wheel, so we got to find out what's going on, and kind of unpack this.
One of the things that, I'll chime in a little bit about some of the comments that are being made here tonight. We are listening to what you're saying, contrary to what we've been accused of. It's different when you're sitting on this side of the table and you have 100 people telling you no, 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 when we haven't made a decision. The reason we're doing this is to give you an opportunity so that we can listen to what you're saying and make the appropriate changes. Nothing is final here. This, by agreeing to enter into this with a pre-development agreement, all we are doing is saying we're giving our staff permission to start the negotiation process. Through that process, it's 150 days of doing due diligence where we can, and I said the word flushed out, and I'll say it again, we will flush out everything that is in there that everybody has a concern with, we will look at. We will look at the possibility for this to be implemented, your choices. I hear something else. I hear that there's a lot of people that just don't want high-rise apartments in there. I hear that people want to park. I hear that people want single-family homes there. You know, I hear that people don't want traffic running through their neighborhood. I hear all that. Now, let's let the village board and the staff try to go to work with this developer to make something happen. You know what? I have said for as long as I've been involved in the village of Cary, since 2009, I want to maintain Cary's small town charm. That's what we're going to do. Any type of development, you look at anything that has been approved through this board, you look at any of the architecture, you look at anything else, I would go out on a limb to say I'm proud of how these developments have turned out. There was a young lady that was asking about duplexes. She wanted something to downsize in. Well, that's happening right outside our door. Beautiful duplex apartment or townhouses that we're listening to. I have a huge affinity to our senior population here. And I talk to a lot of seniors. I talked to this one lady who has been in the village since 1971 and is thrilled at an opportunity to live in the downtown. And she goes, I want you to promise me one thing. And I go, what is that? That it'll have an elevator. That's what she wants. You know, they want to be in the town. We have to look as a compassionate community at what we want to build in our town. Is it going to look exactly the way it is? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no.
It's very fatiguing, even for myself when I lived in a high rise. It's very fatiguing having the courtyard Marriott lifestyle, the suite life. She wants an elevator, but dragging your groceries down Embassy Suites hallway every time, and then being disconnected because you're essentially living in, it's like a compound hotel. It's like a hotel essentially, and that lifestyle becomes fatiguing after a while, and you start to become a number. For our seniors, I'd like to see that, like, problems go away when you have ranch homes, when you have like if there was an area of land where we, like the Redwood subdivision. I remember my grandmother living in a subdivision much like what they built at Redwood. It's, you park in the garage and you're at your house instead of elevator, navigate a hallway, and then you're in a 10 by 10 foot box looking out at another building. It's fatiguing. And when I say Cary can do better, I'm thinking about the end product for our residents, for the older families and the younger families. Because once we put a shovel in the ground and you have 400 apartments, that's there to stay. And now you have, and who knows with the developer, if they lose interest, the management company, if they lose interest in the property, if rental prices go down drastically because there's so much inventory from Crystal Lake, and if Fox River Grove gets on board, our seniors deserve respect for what they've built for us, and that's not walking down a Holiday Inn Express hallway, or like if you're at the other end of a hotel. That's what we've built. Assisted living, it's all stack 'em and pack 'em. And with what's happened with the dollar, I refuse to let what's happened with the dollar and the economy and inflation affect the quality of life of what it's just a lack of creativity. It's a lack of going to the drawing board and figuring out, instead of putting these folks into a 10 foot by 10 foot box, how can we attract a builder that wants to do some ranch style homes affordably? Different levels. Maybe have some that are stripped down, and you get a young family that are wanting to improve on it, and then they flip it. Or you have some that are decked out, all the bells and whistles, that are just somebody with some cash in their pocket that's looking to downsize, and they go right into a ranch style house. So yeah, we have the technology and the tools in the toolbox, but it's just low hanging fruit for getting a lot of electrical meters on the tax roll. A lot of, when I say electrical meters, I just mean if you're a taxing body and you have no vision, or I shouldn't say no vision, but if you just look at the spreadsheet instead of thinking about the end product and the quality of life, yeah, it's attractive because you have 300 people stacked on top of one another. Let Crystal Lake have their fun with that. And then Cary will be known as the village that takes care of its schools, its residents, its police, its fire, and has forever homes.
Change. But that's what this whole process is about. We're not signing on a dotted line. We're not going to be putting a shovel in the ground. It's going to take some time. And I guarantee you, the community, we hear what you're saying. We are making notes. The developer is here taking notes, and we're going to give him an opportunity to interject the changes that you like. And I've said before, and I've maintained this since we started talking about Maplewood, there will be a significant park that will be dedicated to the village of Cary for everybody to use. On another note, that's very boring to a lot of the other community, but it's very important to us as a planner. We will have adequate stormwater detention. We will make sure that there is adequate stormwater detention in that particular area. And we will do the traffic studies. We will do what we have, and that road will help alleviate the potential Maplewood access road, will alleviate all the traffic that people are talking about. One of the things that is important to remember is that we have codes and ordinances that developers have to live by. We do complicated formulas as how many cars a unit can have. The townhouses, each townhouse will have 4 parking spaces, 2 garage and 2 driveway. So there's no need for that. What we've done with this what the developer has done already is eliminated a lot of the surface parking. It's going to be first floor parking. That's what they're proposing. That's what we had asked for. That's what the community was asking for. But nothing is set in stone. This gives us an opportunity to move forward, to have a healthy, robust conversation about what you want to have over there and what we can all do as a community. That's what we're doing right now. There is absolutely no set design right now. There's no set density right now. We will work on your behalf, and we are listening. So if you came up here, as Trustee Weinhammer said, in 2 years you come up here, you're gonna see things a little bit differently. We understand that people are upset. I'm upset that you're upset. I'm upset that maybe you don't think that we're listening, but we are listening. I have meetings after meetings after meetings. We've had 5 or 6 meetings with residents in your neighborhood that want this. They don't want to be here because they're afraid of upsetting the neighbors. So we're trying to balance what other people are talking about. So we will take everything into consideration and have a conversation about what's the best for the community. Again, I assure you right now that there's no decisions being made on what this is going to look like. All we're doing right now, what we're going to ask the board to vote on, is to move forward to come up with a plan that everybody will be happy with. That's what we're doing right now. Okay, any other comments from the village board? None? Nick, roll call, please.
Collier,
Yes.
Walworth,
Walworth vote is yes.
Dudek,
Yes.
Stefani,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
No.
and Calpine.
I'm going to vote yes, but what I'm saying, I want to predicate this. If this was the product that was coming before us right now, I would vote no. But I'm saying I'm voting yes to see if we can get something that's going to be able to work within that footprint. No, because that's not what this vote is. This vote is, do we want to see if there's something we can do? This is not, there's no plan. This is saying, should we give them an opportunity to be able to come up with and say, hey, they've listened to our feedback. We're going to lower the density. Maybe they're going to change some things. I think that we should afford them an opportunity to see if something can be worked out. If it can't, then if it came to us right now as is, I would vote no. But that's not what it is. It's asked, are we willing to work with this developer? And I say yes, we are open for business to work with the developer. Okay, good. I hope.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna, Mr. Mills, please. All right. Did you finish the roll call? Yes. Okay. Moving forward with the agenda. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys coming out, and I encourage you to continue to stay engaged. I will make myself available to anybody that wants to have a conversation, or as the process moves forward, you want to come in and talk about things. That's what we're here for. I never turn down a meeting. I try to return all my emails. Sometimes it takes me a day or two, but we want to hear from you, and we take what you say very seriously. So thank you. Moving forward, administrator's report.
Nothing further this evening, Mayor.
I'd like to thank all the board members and the mayor for undergoing that, but it gets back to normalizing something that's not normal. And you're essentially put into a position that this all was laid out carefully with a powerful firm that puts together comprehensive plans that did this for the comprehensive plan. They're based out of Chicago, based out of California. They know what they're doing. So they put this comprehensive plan together. They paired it up with the code, which we remember watching the video with. They paired it up with the 800. That's the tool. They work in tandem. So when that comprehensive plan went out and Maplewood was on there, I don't think everybody, there's probably still some stuff buried in the comprehensive plan that'll show its head that was agreed to in that plan, but the residents didn't understand the gravity of what was being voted on back then. And now you're faced with what color should the doors be and the drapes be versus should this even happen in the first place? That's normalizing something that's not normal. And we've seen it from the divide after 2020. Everybody went back into their house. All the government went in their government. Everybody got comfortable, and we need to start talking again for what our communities need and what our residents need and what we've signed on to when we moved here, and what all of our memories and our history and all the generational stuff that was at those ball fields. 14 years of just full-on frontal assault against the school district to make that development happen. And now, instead of getting the option to be like, well, do you want 400 apartments, 300 apartments? You're faced with, we're going to listen to you and make the necessary changes of what brick color or what, yeah. So if you were watching, I'm going to land this airplane at by 11 o'clock. But I was doing some research of where we put our. I came across this in the packet. This is from District 26 about the development near Aldi. And this is their plan. And this is what they have. This is what they have now. This is an aerial view of District 26 bus lot. 26 buses in here. A maintenance area. And then their shack for where the bus drivers get to relax and talk, and the dispatch. And so you have 26 buses in here and a lot of room to expand. This is Crystal Lake bus transportation facility for District 155 and 47. They all have parallel, but they have an ingress and an egress. And it looks like their fueling station is right by the exit. And they have a building that appears to be more than 6,000 square feet of, which is what we gave them here. This is the new one by Aldi. This is 6,000 square feet. This is for combined use for wrenching on buses and for dispatch and driver operations, like a lounge and, being able to relax and talk about your route and problem childs. That Randy on the school bus wasn't listening and he was throwing stuff. That's good information to talk about. Or there was this weird person at this one bus stop. This is critical information. We need to have a good decompression area for our bus drivers. So now, instead of having where you get to have fumes and wrenching at our current one, and then you have a separate area for dispatch and driver lounge. You have mechanic operations with fumes and stuff and noise, and then you have your dispatch, and all in the same facility. You have this is a pinch point. You have buses coming in here, buses coming out. Another pinch point here. This is the flow of traffic. I looked up school bus storage lot configuration best practices. Avoid tight corners, dead-end configurations. Plan for fleet expansion. Looks like they did that. There's 41 spots in this, and there was a total of only 26 buses here. I don't know if this was midday, but I think this is the total. Layout and flow. Implement a one-way traffic pattern to reduce congestion. They have that. Use angled parking. They have that. Position maintenance bays, fuel stations, and washing areas near the lot's entrance or exit to streamline operations. Minimize bus movement within the lot. So if they come back and they're driving and they'll fill up after the route, they'll come here and fill up and then park here. Then they could potentially have to come in, fill up, and then these are all full, so they have to go back around and park. Not a big deal. that I think of. I think it's not a big deal, but it might be. Include at least 2 maintenance bays, minimum 60 feet long, 16 feet wide. That's about 1,000 square foot for every 20 to 30 buses. So you figure about 2,000 square feet of this is going to be maintenance. So they'll have more room than they had. Storage room, flammable storage, include a lounge break area for drivers sized accordingly to the staff and budget with basic facilities. Surround the lot with fencing at least 6 to 8 feet high. I'd like to see that with barbed wire. And they also have, I've seen this on private property, but they also have detection that interweaves through a fence, and it's like a cable. And if it senses motion on a fence, like somebody noticeably trying to climb it, it'll trip something and it'll get some police headed that way, or just to check it out. And you can set the sensitivity levels on it. But I'd like to see something like that go in. Fueling station, if included, position it near the entrance exit with enough clearance for. So it looks like they put it over here. So they'll come in, they'll park, back up, leave. And then what I didn't know that was going to be part of the deal was that there's outlots for commercial. I thought this was going to be their entire playground. So I don't know if the deal included just this for the land purchase. And then also what I didn't see was that they're keeping this access road to go to Aldi. So you might get a few people that miss this and go this way. This is McHenry Township, McHenry City Transportation. Yeah, if you just look at Crystal Lakes one, I mean that's near baseball fields. It's close to home. You got power in numbers. So, I think it's if you get into somebody nefarious wanting to do something to buses or just vandalize, if it's on that end of the spectrum, or if it's something more serious, you have power in numbers by being close to home. And now we've put them by railroad tracks, which is a lot of fun stuff that goes on near railroad tracks. And now they have all this to have their fun and then get out of Dodge if somebody wanted to. I like to keep it close to home. I like to keep it close to schools. Out of sight, out of mind is also a thing. We're going to have a lot of people driving by our school buses. If it's well secured in a residential setting with where they had it for a long time, it's out of sight, out of mind for a lot of people. So that's where I'm thinking. This is what they wanted to do. They they kept the fuel here. This is where it is existing. They moved the parking here. Yeah. So it seemed like District 26 had some good there's some damages to the school district, monetary and psychologically, just with the morale, and that'll last a while to where if you're in a meeting as a school district and you want to come back and be like, ask the village, be like, hey, that some of those conversations might never happen because they've seen how they play ball. And it's by taking the ball and going home. So thank you for joining me for the watch party today. That was fun to go through, and it's great hearing the voices of Cary. I'm glad to see everybody out, and I look forward to serving you. Early voting is open. Early voting locations for the Village of Cary, Algonquin Township Office on Highway 14 and Cary Park District Community Center, 255 Briargate. This is Algonquin Township Office. Here's your Wendy's in Cary. Here's the Cary Dairy billboard. Boom, right there. Go pull your lever there. And go pull the lever for Scott right here at the Cary Park District Community Center. This is Cary Algonquin. This is 14 West Main. Here's the ball fields and the buses. Yeah, go voice up. And there is a sample ballot online available. Do your research. And I thank you for joining me today on Voices Cary Live, for unpacking this. And there's, I look forward to tomorrow, joining you tomorrow on Voices Cary Live. I'll be here at 9 o'clock. I might hop on early, but there will be a 24-hour live stream of some of the more notable ones that are kind of densely packed with information for you to hop in, hop out whenever you feel like it. And I'm greatly honored to be in the race for this. Thank you for all the support you showed my wife and I at the meetup, and I look forward to what the future holds. Have a wonderful evening, and gotta make sure I have the right button. Have a great night. Thank you.